take the title card off, and count without saying the 1 and the 2.
Been there. I took a television production class in high school, so I know that whole.
Me too. We did like the news for the school.
We did some stuff for the actual school channel. I don't know if everybody has a school channel, but in Virginia, your school district typically has a channel. I was even an anchor on the show before, and like I had people that like I knew, like older people that I knew was like, "Hey, did I see you on TV?" Yeah, you saw me on TV, but what you saw was like takes and takes and takes on stuff because once the camera's turned on, I don't like being on camera. So like, the what's like I have to read from like a teleprompter and stuff like that. I was just like I was fucking everything up. So he had to do takes and takes and takes over and over again.
What I
I
gotta
absolutely,
do? Read.
yeah, it was just a difficult transition for me because I like being behind the cameras. Um, so I like being the guy on the floor, not necessarily in the booth, but the one that actually does the countdown without saying two and one. I like being that guy. I didn't like being, you know, on camera. I preferred to be behind the camera.
Did you find out how much better gaffer's tape is than duct tape?
Um, Not necessarily because all of that stuff was already set up for
Oh.
the studio that we worked in. So like it's not like we had to like really do all of that. And then I was working with a teacher on a side hustle that he had that was he recorded like a local talk show,
Mm-hmm.
and man, I fucked up one of the episodes. I fucked up one of the episodes. My camera work was so bad that they had to completely scrap that episode because I was the main camera. Because all right, so here's the thing:
Are we
when you're
are, are we
working,
are, are we starting the show?
I'll officially start the show after this. So, like when you're into something like that, you kind of look to other people for like inspiration and kind of try to figure things out. So there was this actual like real life camera operator, and he changed his setup, and it worked great for him. Where the part where you kind of manipulate the camera, the part that comes out of the back of the camera when you have like a full size camera and tripod and all that kind of stuff. That part, what he did was he switched that to the front. So whereas he was basically hugging the camera and moving it where it needs to go and adjusting on the fly. Well, I decided to try that for the episode of this TV show. And I mean, because I was basically hugging the camera, and since all of my all of my settings and stuff like that to lock and unlock and be able to move the camera were reversed, and I hadn't practiced that. It turned out to be an absolute disaster. Like, I mean, it was bad. And because I was the main character, I was the main camera, um, it just messed up everything, and they had to scrap that whole show.
Hmm.
So like the fact of the matter was, like, if we were rolling camera on all of the cameras and like had like full recordings on all of the cameras, we probably would have been all right because they could have just switched to the other cameras when I wasn't fucking everything up. But there was a small little booth, and my teacher was handling all of that stuff on the fly, switching the cameras and recording everything there to the main tape. So there was no way to recover from how bad I was. And like I mean it was real bad, like super bad.
Hmm.
So yeah, that happened to me. I mean, I actually had some cool stuff when I took that class. I had the I had the um I did one for the school district where I recorded something for the school district, and like the superintendent of schools actually wrote like a letter of recommendation for like how good we did. I have no idea where that letter of recommendation is. Not that it matters now, but at the time, the actual superintendent of schools wrote a letter of recommendation for how well we did. Um, so yeah. So rolling start. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Scarfinger. It's Scarcasm. We out here.
Yeah, we is.
Chase is in the building.
I am. And we're on a podcast.
And we are on a podcast. I am recovering. I don't feel as bad. This whole weekend has been terrible for me. I against my better judgment, I wasn't feeling well, and things just weren't going right. So I ended up doubling up on some medicine that I probably shouldn't have, and it completely wrecked my weekend. I mean, wrecked. Like I spent this whole weekend just fucked up. And like I didn't even feel good until I didn't feel decent enough to function until like early this afternoon. And like so like if I would have had to go to work this morning, I would have been at work fucked up. Like so and it took me like to take some more medicine and just lay down for a little bit. Well, like I said, I don't typically go to sleep during the day, but man, this stuff I like this shit really fucked me up. Like I took this stuff on Friday and my whole weekend has been jacked up. So there's not really a whole lot that I've done. I did watch some TV, watched a ton of YouTube, but I watched some TV, and I think I played a little bit. I played a very very little bit, but we'll get into that in a minute. How was your weekend, man?
It was good. I just kind of been lounging around. I actually had most of the weekend off, so I kind of been hanging out. I made a badass roast today. Dude, that thing was so good.
Okay, so for all of the people who are actually watching, they're gonna actually get this joke.
Okay.
So when did you start boot camp?
When I started boot camp,
Uh-huh.
I started boot camp right when the podcast started. You're my drill sergeant.
No, like your haircut.
Yeah,
Your haircut.
I know.
um
I
so
normally like buzz my hair or something during the summer because it's easy and it grows back pretty well, you know. Because normally if you I don't know if it's just how my hair grows. If I get like an actual like haircut, when it grows out, it looks terrible. But if I get like a buzz cut, if I grow out, it just becomes shaggy. You know, like a normal shaggy haircut, and you're like, okay, you know, it doesn't look terrible. Like if I get a
yeah,
normal haircut, it'd be like a pompadour on the top, and then you know what I mean. At least I'll just like be like Shaggy Dude for a little bit.
right. Yeah, I think for me is I typically just buzz mine. I just take the guard off and just cut it all off.
Yeah.
And then I try to do a little something with the beard. But like with no facial hair, like it looks like you're about to be in Marines boot camp or something. So that's the only reason why I asked that. But go ahead with your
I'm from
weekend.
Texas, sir.
For steers and queers. I was a shout out to Full Metal Jacket, which my dad was a Marine and that was his favorite movie. Of course, like all the Marines love that movie,
Yeah,
especially all of them that have been to the island that trained at the island.
yeah.
So yeah, my dad loved that movie. So, but then again, like, let's be honest, Full Metal Jacket, the good part of Full Metal Jacket is like the first half. Like
Yeah.
when they actually go to Vietnam, no one cares about that part at all. Like no one does. Like absolutely no one cares about the second half of Full Metal Jacket. We only care about the training part.
I mean, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I care about the Vietnam part just because I think the Vietnam part has some really cool shots. But that's, I mean, most people aren't going to care about that. Like, I think the whole part when they had the you know, that Trashman song was like Surfing Bird or whatever. That whole like Surfing Bird part is just like so cool to me. But
Also, the second half of that movie is where we got Me So Horny from.
yeah.
I mean, the only thing. Those are the only things I remember. I remember the Me So Horny part, and then I remember that the one part with the snipers that they used again in True Blood.
I haven't seen True Blood.
Okay, so in True Blood, there's a you know, the main vampire dude. He has like a severe disdain for a family. And he doesn't like them at all. And like when he actually explains why, it's like the exact same as the sniper scene from Full Metal Jacket, where they shoot the one person and they just keep shooting that person, but not killing him, so he could cry out and they could get more people to come out to help. And the more people come out to help, the more people get killed because that one person is still alive, crying for his life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they
You're about to get pissed off.